Happy Tuesday night, everybody! Inside the Pigskin on the Motor City Mad Mouth. And we got ourselves a dream team itself tonight. Off to the right is Steven Reichel. Up, big boss. And we have the Rolls Royce, Candy Evelyn.
Thanks. Great to be here, guys.
And the man who's the original guy on Inside the Pigskin is Mel Farr Jr. up in the Atlanta area, and he's got company in the Atlanta. Glad to have you back, Mel. Great stuff.
Great to be back. Great to be back.
And, of course, we also have Ben Troop, your neighbor. What the heck?
Good. Always good to be back home. And listen, the Candy obviously makes the entire show what it is, so it's always good to be back home with everybody.
Thank you, Ben.
And my teammate Christy Jones, great stuff, brother.
Hey, thank you for letting me be back on, gang. You know, y'all are my teammates, and I really appreciate it. And I'm honored to be on the
back
show.
on, you deserve to be on. What am I wearing? Really, seriously, really, you deserve to be on. All three, you gotta make the show. All I gotta do is just don't screw it up. All right, I don't plan to do it anyways. All right, D-Lowe's, is the show canceled, or can you cover more important NHL Eastern Conference Finals? Well, you know what? Depends on the eyes of the beholder, okay? If you think Santa Claus is Jewish and hockey is more popular than football, then I have a serious math problem that dictates otherwise, that I have nothing against hockey. But I can tell you one thing, okay? The NFL has a bigger revenue stream than the NHL. Hello, folks. Racho Doors in the house. Got a lot of things to get to. So there you go. So let's go at it. We have a lot of things to talk about. And first of all, we're going to start off with college football. Will we get a 16-team playoff? Because I'll tell you one thing about it. It's been talked a long time. 12, obviously, was the number, but 16 is on the horizon. We'll start it off with Mel Farr. What do you think, Mel?
Yeah, because it's all about the money. You know, the network, ESPN, really controls everything in college football. I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest with you. I kind of like it. I'm an old school guy. You know, I kind of like how things used to be back in the old days. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be a 16-team playoff because of the money, and that's the only reason. It's just because of the money. And like I said, ESPN controls everything. They're really running the show, and that's what they want. And obviously, it makes them more money. We know how extremely popular college football is, so it's just a matter of time. And I do believe, within the next couple of years, we'll have a 16-team playoff.
What do you think, Ben?
Absolutely, it's going to go to 16 teams because you want variety. When you start talking about the NCAA and how everybody knows that football is going to be the best in the southeastern part of the country, but the reason why you go to 16 is you get a chance to be in some of these host cities, and it's going to be real. It's going to be the version of the NCAA tournament football style. The best teams are still going to end up winning it, but it's about exposure. How many more teams can I give an opportunity to have, a platform to have the entire world watching them? Because once you get past, Ohio, I mean, unless you got like a Michael Penix Jr. or those type of caliber players, Oregon, I get it. They've done everything but win the national championship. Yes, it's going to go to 16 because, like Mel said, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. And it makes money. And it's going to make a bunch of money. And I think going to 16, it gives a team that would never, ever have an opportunity to be seen on the national stage a chance to be seen. They're not going to win it, but they will get a chance to have their moment in the sun. So 16 games, 16-game playoff is just like an 18-game season when it comes to NFL. It's going to be here sooner than we know it.
What do you think, Chris?
Hey, I'm like the other two guys, Mel and Ben. Hey, but guess what? Look, maybe UCLA, Florida, and Miami could get in tonight. And so,
whatever it takes to listen, whatever it takes to get in.
That gives us a chance. We can get in there with the dance now. You know what I mean? To bring our fan bases, all three of our fan bases, they're going to make money. Because like y'all say, it's what it's all about, making money. On the serious note, that I think it's a great opportunity. And Ben, I different a little bit because one of them teams, them sleeper teams, can upset some big teams. Now, you never know during that time of the year. So, like you say, but everyone gonna need to be on the A game during that time. And hey, the NCAA know what they're doing. With all that NIL money going out, they need to make some money in the way.
What do you think, Steven?
I mean, like that, they're already saying this is a money thing. It's a matter of time. It's about giving these schools opportunities. You watch it happen in so many different other sports where, we talk about the wild card team or the lower seed team making a magical run and going to capture a championship. We've seen it happen in football. We watched the New York Giants do it before. We've seen some of these teams do it. So why not sit there and have, if you look at the 80s, the 90s, college football's playoff system was kind of one that needed to have an injection to kind of get it back to being one of the places, and they tried to do the bowl games for the longest time, and some of it didn't make sense where you would have all this confusion of who was the best team. We had three undefeated teams, but only one of them was in this proper game, and they're the only one that's recognized as the champion. So what you're doing with this, you're doing away with all that confusion and just say, here's the top 16 teams in the nation this past year. Here's the seeding. Let's see what you guys do when you guys get matched up and see who comes out the other end. It's the way it needs to be done. They're absolutely, not only should there be, this is something that should be implemented immediately.
All right, Candy.
The one thing that we all forget is how are we going to seed them? Because let's face it, doesn't matter if you have 4, 10, 15, 16, someone's always going to be left out and on the outside saying, strength of schedule, how do you rate that? How do you not rate that? I belong in, I don't belong in. But yes, of course it's about money. That's what drives everything these days, unfortunately, in the world, pretty much. Yes, NCAA, just like the NFL going abroad and doing all these games, it's about making money and how they're going to most make money. 16 playoff, which means there's going to be more TV revenue and streaming revenue. There's going to be more, obviously, people sitting in the stands. It's going to be more exposure for young kids to see different programs as well, which I like. I think that's cool because there's a lot of schools out there to choose from. So, but yeah, it's all about money. It will be going forward. It's not going to go backwards.
Well, so let's break this down in its entire. First, we needed a +1, so at least you could determine the national championships outside of a stupid computer. So we got that, right? Then we needed at least 12, so we got that. So we progressed to what the inevitable was going to be 16 anyways. So what do we have to do? Take a little knife and whittle away at the tree until we got it to fall down? Really? Seriously, really? This is inevitable if I ever saw anything. But we have all that politics in that thing called the NCAA that we had to go ahead and do what was right. All you had was March Madness, the NCAA tournament, say, guess what? This was a money cow. But I'll tell you, I've seen slow learners in my day, but the NCAA football people are the slowest learners I've ever seen. Unbelievable. Yes, I agree with everybody on this planet. And panel, okay, 2PL, planet. This is as obvious as you could get. Yes, Ralph William, NIL needs a structure cap like football. And yes, Steven Sports Talk, football rules it all. And I'm going to treat the show like I'm at the synagogue. You definitely need a whole lot of prayers. I don't care if they're coming from the Menorah or the Bible. It doesn't make a difference. I pray that every show goes and we have a good old time. And I tell you, I haven't even got warmed up yet. We got plenty to get to. Glad for everybody's participation in the chat room. We have a lot more going on. So you went from a +1 to 12 to 16. Yes, you all are right. And that is that. As they say, that's final. But let's stay a little bit when we talk about rivalries where there's connection. Got Notre Dame versus USC rivalry could end in the 2025 season. The Trojans have only offered a 1-year extension to the Fighting Irish. Mel, you obviously played ball in that neck of the woods. What do you think of that rivalry or what may be left of it?
I mean, a lot of the rivalries are going away now. If you look at it with the way, with realignment in the conferences. A lot of the old rivalries are going away. I think again, this probably has to do with the college playoff wanting to be able to position themselves to be able to be a participant in the playoff. At the end of the year, Notre Dame, they're a very good football team. They've been playing very good football, and that would be another hard game for USC that's outside of their normal schedule. That's outside of conference players. They're non-conference play, so that's a difficult game for them. And they don't need the money. I don't know how much money they're getting to play Notre Dame, but they don't necessarily need the money with the revenue sharing in the Big Ten that they have. But I hate to see a lot of these old things go away. I like the bowl system. I like that. But I'm old school. These young guys, they may like the playoff system. I didn't mind, having a split national champion if that was the case at the end of the year. It didn't bother me because that's not really what we played for. We played to win the Pac-10 and to go to the Rose Bowl and win the Rose Bowl, and you just kind of let the chips fall where they may after that. And if you're one of the best teams in the country, if you're undefeated, and the AP or the UPI voted that you were national champion, you live with it. If they said that you weren't, you live with that as well. But you got all the swag from the Rose Bowl, and you had bragging rights because, for us, obviously, in the city with USC, we had bragging rights because we won the Pac-10.
Okay, we'll turn over to Ben.
I mean, I agree with man. When you start talking about these rivalries, I think sometimes college football fans, especially younger college football fans, they really don't know what made college football. When you start talking about rivals like USC, Notre Dame, things like the Egg Bowl with Ole Miss versus Mississippi State, Miami versus Florida, Florida versus Florida State. Like, these are part of the college football fabric. It should be embedded in some of these TV deals or conference deals. We still got to keep these rivalries, not because people don't know about them, but because they need to know about them. They need to understand why. If you're from the state of Mississippi, they think you ain't smart enough to go to Ole Miss when you go to Mississippi State. I played with guys like that to where people talk about North Carolina, Duke. Do people understand how much UCLA and USC hate each other? They cannot stand each other. So I just think that when it comes to college rivalries and when it comes to these type of things, the reason why players think they the best players this day and age is because they get more exposure. You are not better than players from the past. And some of these rivalries from the past is why you either fell in love with a certain team or fell out of love with a certain team, but you don't even get them no more. People, like I say, I don't got to play with Florida State or Miami to understand how big Florida State and Miami is, not just for the state, but for college football. So yeah, we got to get back to a certain level of tradition, whether people like it or not. Like I say, man, I'm from the South, man. I ain't like vegetables. You think my grandma cared? If I go to her house, I know what it is. Grandma, in my house, we eat, SpaghettiOs. Well, you ain't at home. You're going to eat green beans, everything green. Because that's, because like I said, her house is a certain tradition. At my parents' house, it was something different. So, yeah, I'm like, man, let's get back to the rivalries, man, because it takes away the college football luster. And the reason why we love, I'm going to keep saying this, the best football players play on Sunday. The best brand of football is played on Saturday. The best brand, that's played on Saturday. Because it got variety. Ain't nobody waking up early morning, man, to watch no Vanderbilt versus Louisville. Stop the nonsense, man. I want to get UC. Listen, and whoever made UCLA, USC on Friday nights, shame on y'all.
Yeah,
that game's supposed to be played on Saturday. I don't care whoever came up with that rule. That's nonsense, man. Let's get back to the.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, Ben, you're unbelievable. How do you like your new teammate, Mel? This guy's unbelievable, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good.
He comes as advertising, especially with that hat. We got these guys with these hats. I even got one, and so does he. And he's got his turned on the right way instead of backwards. Unbelievable. Did you ever have one backwards? Oh, okay. I was thinking of somebody else. That's all right. It's called a senior moment. But yeah, these rivalries are good. What do you think, Chris? You only had enough of them in this day.
Hey man, I'm like with Ben and Mel. I'm old school. That's how I came up. That's what made you want to go to certain schools because of the rivalry. See, you got to understand what these rivalries so intense from the old school. Because guess what? Pretty much some of your buddies who you played with in high school or rivalry in high school went to a different college and they becoming a stud. and you became a stud at another university. And guess what? We class and still for we can have bragging rights when we see each other, letting each other know, hey, you know how we used to take the field when we played Florida. We meeting in the middle of the damn field. We finna let you know it's finna be a dog fight. It's gonna be a dog fight today. And then you gotta understand too. Think about it. The way that the college rivalries is today, they can't stop that. They need to really showcase it because guess what? Think about back in the day when Keith Jackson was broadcasting those games. The way it used to come on. Letting them know that, hey, this is gonna be the rivalry of the week. Then guess what? Being in Mel will tell you. It wasn't no school that week. It wasn't no class that week when we playing them rivalries. Coach telling you, we're going to class. We need to be in the extra film, weight room, extra on this team. That's it. That was your assignment for the week. Period.
Keith Jackson, that's the name of the past. I think he's the greatest college football announcer ever. You can find me one better than that. Go ahead, but I'm not doing it. And why do you think Christy Jones obviously got it right? Oh, God, that was good. Oh, how was that? Was that pretty good? Oh, Steven, what's your thoughts?
I mean, listen, rivalries is what makes college athletics fun. Yes, we're kind of in a new age right now where college football playoff is changing things. We're kind of floating away from the bowls and all that, but you can't take Auburn, Alabama away from us. You can't take Michigan, Ohio. These things are the staple, the backbone of what makes Saturday college football. What gets everyone going to it, as they were already talking, it makes why you want to go attend to some of the schools, because you want to be a part of that rivalry. You want to feel that energy. Some of the stuff we were, me and Ben were even were talking a few weeks ago. The energy in those those arenas when those games are going on, the rivalries are going on. You got the fans going nuts. There's almost nothing else that can compare to it. So like when we're talking about it, like you have to keep some of the stuff intact, regardless of what's being changed, what's being moved around. Certain things should happen. Notre Dame should absolutely play USC every year. These are some of these matchups that you're going to have. And, I don't care if it's written in the TV deals, if it's a backdoor deal to sit there and say like this has to happen. Some of this stuff has to stay together. You have to keep this together.
Well, the only I'll say about it before I turn over to Candy, at least it seems like USC's holding the cards on this one by saying we're only offering you one your deal. Normally, in a lot of cases, Notre Dame that does it, but USC seems to be holding the cards. All right, I'll leave it, and I'll tell all I'm going to say about the subject. What about you, Candy?
This rivalry began in 1926 and is considered one of the fiercest in college football. Right. The game has been played every year from 1926 to the present, with the exception of 43 to 45, and when the game was canceled during World War II, and then in 2020 when the Pac-12 conference canceled all non-conference games in response to COVID-19. Therefore, it interrupted a streak of 73 consecutive years in which the game had been played. So it's been played a total of 95 times. How is that not a rivalry? I mean, come on, let's face it. When you look at like the NFL, Bears Packers, oldest rivalry in NFL. And the one thing I'm going to say to everybody, how can you not keep this up? Look at like the stadiums for colleges are bigger than the stadiums for the NFL. Look at Michigan and Ohio State. They're over 100,000 that they pack in those. You've got to have these rivalry games. If you want to keep paying NIL money and you want fans in the stands, you want attention on these players, you want to pay these players, you need to keep these rivalry games there so that alumni will back them too, because that's what they get excited. That's what gets them going. It's the rivalry games. It's not the game against a little guy. And yes, you have to have those two because the little guys, got to advance too. But it's not the big rivalry that the big state ones are. keep these rivalry games in college football, period.
Well, since we have a former UCLA player, there's no better way to transition over to this topic than this one. Nico Lamoleva has transferred to UCLA. Lamoleva threw for 2,616 yards and 19 touchdowns last season for Tennessee, where our old buddy was, right, Mel? John Bonamego. So what are your thoughts, Mel, about Nico going over to UCLA?
Yeah, I mean, I think we needed a quarterback. That's one of the problems that we had last year was quarterback play. I don't necessarily like the way in which we got the quarterback. Ended up with him. He should have stayed in state in the first place. I think UCLA was talking to him in the beginning about coming there, and I think Tennessee probably just offered him more money, but he wanted to go to UCLA in the beginning. So did his brother. So basically, they just swapped quarterbacks. So UCLA got Tennessee's quarterback. Tennessee got UCLA's quarterback. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't like it, again, because I don't particularly care for the NIL. I don't like how all this came about. He is getting far less money at UCLA than he was receiving at Tennessee. Right. So I don't know if he overplayed his hand when he decided not to show up for spring ball. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to be able to manage this, how the coach is going to be able to manage this situation. And how the players are going to receive them as well, because when we played, there was a certain camaraderie that you had. I mean, you spent 4 years with guys in the trenches. You bled, you sweat, you've cried with one another. You've gone through weightlifting. You hung out. You've gone different places. You had different experiences. Like a buddy of mine, he always talks about how had I not gone to UCLA, he would have never gone skiing. He would never known anything about skiing, and now he takes his kids skiing, and his kids love skiing. You don't have those bonds. Now it's just, it's just a hired gun. Everybody's a hired gun. And how does a locker room receive a guy like that? It's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. Because, when you're building a team, you have to build a team a certain way, and all the pieces of the puzzle got to fit. Just because you have the best talent doesn't mean that you're going to have the best football team. And I'm just interested to see how all these pieces are going to fit and what they're going to look like on Saturday this coming fall.
Man,
I'm not mad at Nico at all. I think the situation with Nico, man, I don't appreciate how Tennessee handled the whole situation. The young man came to them in January of 2025 wanting more money. Why would Nico want more money? How you think just like Mel said, do you think Nico even knew what Tennessee was? That kid is from Cali. You think he knew what Tennessee was? He got the money. He got almost $9 million to come to Tennessee. And the first time I touched the football, we go to the college football playoff. You don't think I'm going to want more money? What do coaches do when they win big games? They renegotiate. What does the player learn? Everything he knows in NIL, they learn it from coaches. Right. Everything they do, a coach showed them how to do it. Now, the Nico, out of all NIL, Nico was the first holdout. He didn't want to be a holdout. If you understand about the Polynesian culture, when they daddies or authority figures speak, they do not question it. I believe it had more to do with Nico's dad than Nico himself. But he's out there in UCLA. I think the young man is going to thrive because I don't think he wanted to leave California, LA in particular. But, Tennessee was throwing money at him. How dare this young man want more money? Listen, Hendon Hooker, Joe Milton, both of them played at Tennessee. What did they not do? Neither one of them made it to the college football playoff. There were 10 quarterbacks that made it to the college football playoff of 2024, and Nico was one of them. So I know that people are gonna jump on him. Mel, I think they're gonna love the young man because he get to speak for himself in the locker room. He get to kind of say what really, really happened. But let me tell you something: Tennessee better be good in 2025 because if they take a step back, they're gonna be looking at Josh Heupel and say, "Dude, you had the quarterback right here. He just wanted more money." No, NIL will never ever be the problem. It's gonna be because of who's benefiting. And so, and think about it. We can tell you who Nico is and Arch Manning is. Out of all these quarterbacks, we know 5 of them by first and last name. So we don't even know how much money these players getting. But I think Nico got to go back home. I know his brother's out there now. And sometimes, man, a change of environment is good for anybody. But I think Nico gonna be fine. I just think that the whole situation, Nico didn't say a word. Everybody was just jumping on this young man like he did something wrong. I was watching the NCAA tournament. You saw them coaches that was losing in the NCAA tournament. Now they had a new place with new money. So coaches can make lateral moves when they ball, but the players better not do it, man. You only got so much leverage in this life. You better use it while you got it. Nico thought he had more leverage than he did. He got less money. But if he go out there and if he take them Bruins to the college football playoff, Let's see what they're gonna be saying, especially if they go to 16 teams. I'm rooting for Nico because I know how just like Chris, just like Mel, I kind of being a student athlete, man. It ain't easy because all the rules only apply to us. They never apply to the authority figures or the decision makers. So we'll see what happens.
What are you talking about? What was the USF? I lived at Steak and Shake, and that was about it. That was different. We were all broke back then. Steak and Shake, if you ever eaten there, that was tough stuff back in the day. And I'm showing the Greg here. Do it. All right, turn over to Christine Jones, my teammate.
I'm jealous of all of them. I was getting $55 a weekend. but getting to it though, hey, well, you think about it. This guy passed for at Tennessee, Ben. He just passed for 2,600 yards and 19 touchdowns, Ben.
Right.
Come on, man. You know, y'all know how I felt about Carson Beck. So I get what you're saying. Carson got $4 million, and this guy trying to. Then he's going up back home to California. Hey, I'm glad he's going back home where he is. But the thing is, he was gaining continuity. You know how it is to win over a locker room at Tennessee. If he'd have kept balling, he would have got his money. But I understand he probably wanted to go home. But you and I and Mel know it's hard for him to go get him. Now he got to go back to UCLA, gain the confidence of that locker room, working out with them over the summertime and all that, trying to get with those receivers and getting with our O-line. He already had everything was ready for him at Tennessee. Everything was running, the engine. That's all they had to do was build more momentum to me. But, hey, I'm one of those guys. I don't player hate. I hope that he's happy and things work out for the young man. Because, like you said, we student athletes, coaches can change and get paid. They can do this and do that. But I just wish the kid would have stayed because it's, to me, to what they showing, anybody can run for the dollar now. And I don't want college football to be like that. Think about how hard us three played. We was happy to get an extra pair of cleats from the damn equipment manager.
Right.
If these guys they driving to school with Lambos, man, and big Benzes. Come on, man. We was happy borrowing one of the boys' cars that was 15 years old that you can sweat turning the damn steering wheel. So, it's just getting too much. I get it, man. Trust me, I get it. But we talking about rivalries now. We were talking how we love the rivalries. The rivalries ain't going to be as good if the people is running. Each team going to have star players going championship so much that you can have a rivalry team. Your star quarterback be gone in next year.
Yeah.
So, that's how I look at it. I just wish the kid would have stayed because that coach had to do something in Tennessee. He had to say, man, I can't match what you're doing. Man, I know I just helped you out to get NIL money. Think about that coach. And now you're trying to put my hand and make me give you more money now. Come on. He had to take a stand. Because think about it. He would have lost some of his players, Ben.
You know how I feel? The last time you mentioned Carson Beck, I've never laughed so hard in my entire life. I swear to God, I felt like a red apple. You can find me over at the nearest grocery store.
But I do hope the guy he succeed at UCLA because they do got a nice player. Mel, y'all got something to build from if he step up and do what he did at Tennessee. He showed that strides, and if he show that he can do better than what he did last year, that'd be a plus for you guys.
Well, I'm sorry, what'd you say, Mel?
No, I said I was looking forward to it. He never should have left the state of California in the first place. They should have never let him out of there in the first place. I guess that was Chip.
Well, I knew one thing as the executive producer of the show, I threw the most complicated topics on there because they do get a little easier, but these are some of the heavy hitters. We still got Brock Purdy a little bit later, but we're making sure we talk about relevant versus mystery irrelevant later. All right, with that said, Stephen, what are your thoughts about Nico going to Seoul, Canada?
Mel just hit it on the head. He just said it right there. Chip Kelly is the reason why he left the state of California in the first place.
Right.
That guy just has a way of rubbing people the wrong way. He's already changing his first round draft picks running back he's changing his stance already. Say no, this is the way you do it, young man. He hasn't even taken a snap yet. He hasn't done nothing wrong. Already trying to micromanage things, and this is why you see guys moving around because sometimes coaches kind of rub people the wrong way, and then these young guys they feel like there's no way that things can be reconciled to the point of being able to work with them, and you're seeing guys that have those avenue now being able to jump in the portal to have potential NIL deals and things of that nature. So but I do agree with the overall sentiment that I'm not mad at him for doing what he did. Like sometimes you listen, you got to do what's best for you. You got to do what's best for your brand, so to speak. So I hope that UCLA it kind of has a little bit of a little rebirth there, and they kind of get things going the way they should in the direction they're going. I know a lot of people are be like, "Oh, well, he didn't get the money he wanted." At the end of the day, after you just put $9 million in your pocket, I don't really think to take it a couple mil loss here, a couple mil loss there is going to make any difference. Like, listen, you're trying to set yourself up for the future. You build yourself up a good enough nest that it doesn't matter, if you're a first round pick or you fall like what just happened to Shedeur. It shouldn't matter because you're already sitting there. You have to take care of certain things. Like I said, we're going to see what happens when they all put it on the field come September. Let's see if they can put themselves in the playoffs and see where it takes them. See what magic can be done.
Okay, Candy.
So, Chris, you made an interesting point because you talked about how he gelled at Tennessee and now he's moving on. Cam Ward did the same thing, though, and look what that did for his draft stock. He moved from school to school, and he got better and better, and then he went as number one. If Nico,
different circumstances,
I'm sorry?
Different circumstances.
Right. There it is, but he still went to a different team and succeeded. So the question is, will Nico succeed with UCLA or not? That remains to be seen, obviously. Will he gel with his teammates and stuff like that? The problem I have is you go to college for education, and yes, obviously you're playing ball and you're getting paid lots of money now, but you're still going for an education as well. So what happens with his education? Where is he at that? That's my question, but that's a different side of the whole spectrum. Yes, he's going back closer to home, so maybe there's more things at home that warrant that, or that he wanted to go to too. NIL money has changed college football, college athletes, period. Whether it be transferring, whether it going out there and asking for money. The only thing is, will this change his draft stock? Or because he's asking for more money after he had set his NIL for a while? I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he does. The teammates he's got around him and how much success he has. Interesting. But NIL has really changed. Like I said, college athletes all around.
Well, the only thing I'll say to finish this topic, and we have a lot more college, and I want to get over to the pros a little bit, but we remember when Candy and I were down in Miami for the spring game, and Mario Cristobal says, if you want out, we don't want you here. So obviously that was when everything was going on with Nico. Well, he landed his spot in UCLA. And Chris Roberts, I wish you were up there broadcasting, because everybody, Mel and I, know what a valuable person Chris Roberts was in terms of broadcasting UCLA football and UCLA sports. So a couple rapid fire college topics we're going to get to. And that's just Nebraska cancels a home series with Tennessee in 26-27 and will be fined $1 million for canceling. So I'm going to go around the horn. Mel, why do you think that they canceled this series? I know Matt Rule is the coach at Nebraska.
I don't know. I didn't read. I mean, I read about it a little bit. I didn't really get into the backstory. There was a reason why. I can't remember. This doesn't have something to do with renovations at the stadium or something like that. I can't remember what it was. there's some backstory to it that I can't remember. I read about it a little while ago. But other than that, you can't say that they're afraid to play Tennessee. I don't think that's it. I really think there's a backstory to it. I can't recall. I'd have to look it up
You were right.
to be sure. But I think it has something to do with some renovations to the stadium. And I think they wanted to adjust the dates or something like that. And I don't know, Tennessee had some other scheduling conflicts or something like that. So they couldn't make it work. But I think that's all. It really is, doesn't really have a lot to do with anything. I just think it has to do with some things that were going on at the University of Nebraska, I believe.
Okay, what do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes when you start seeing situations like this with Tennessee and Nebraska, it shows you why these big time teams don't worry about these types of things. They pay the fine, they move on. I mean, it's just if I'm willing to pay millions of dollars because I don't want to switch up the days, that just show, look, man, we got the money. We ain't tripping. We wanted this game. We don't need this game. We want to stick to the scripted parts like our renovations. So when I saw this, I was like, you see why these smaller schools want to play these big schools, and if the big school does have to switch it, it hurts the smaller school because they got to have that money. Two big schools, we say, hey, man, we just give you the money because we're not going to show up. Not that you need it, but you have to show good faith as to why we can't switch the dates. We're going to go ahead and give you the money. But, I mean, I can't remember the last time Nebraska and Tennessee. I don't know if it's a storied rivalry or not. It would have been good to see Matt Rule, you know what I'm saying, versus Josh Heupel. But, hey, man, it's big news because of who it is. But Tennessee was like, look, man, just send the invoice, man, and we'll send the money back. Sorry that we can't make this work, but this is what happened when you got two big-time universities that's lacking. They lacking a lot of things in Nebraska and Tennessee. Money ain't one of them, so they pay the fine, they move on.
Fair enough. Okay, what do you think, Chris?
Hey, pretty much, I feel like being pretty much they paying the fine and moving on, but you can see, but it could have had some big-time implications of seeding in the playoffs if these two teams made the playoffs. You can look at it too at somewhere around that. But other than that, it's really no big news because they have the money to pay it.
I mean, I'll tell you, me personally, and I'll turn over to Steve. I think Tennessee would have kicked Nebraska's butt when you got Matt Rule personally taking beatings since they're in mediocrity. I'd go ahead and I'd take that $1 million and run too. That's just my personal opinion. I think Nebraska and Tennessee is a mismatch, and I think Tennessee gives them a voluntary whooping, as they say. So take the $1 million. I don't know. I don't have a lot of feelings for Matt Rule, and I think in Charlotte they might like me there. I don't know if they like me anywhere else, but they might like me there. I just think Tennessee would have blown them out. But hey, $1 million isn't the worst thing. And it's funny how you talk about the big school, small school though. Working with FAU for a while, Howard Schnellenberger scheduled those games because they needed to finance that program. That's up they got them a stadium built. So I can appreciate everything when people are talking about guaranteed money. You take your beating and then you take the check. Okay, Stephen.
I mean, I think Bill had already talked about it there. Basically, the reason for the cancellation was the stadium, the limited seating, things of that nature. Nebraska's now, scrambling around to offset that losing that home-to-home series. I mean, it's regardless of who comes out on top. It's just you hate to see stuff like that happen. I mean, they still have a year or two to kind of find a way to kind of offset the potential revenue loss and things of that nature. But regardless, they'll find a new matchup. They'll move on. They'll pay the fines. And this will be a forgotten topic by the time the games come to fruition next season. So, not mad at nobody. Just move on, find new opponents, and find out what your schedule is going to look like for 2026, 2027.
Candy.
So
hello, Daniel. Just want to get that up.
They are officially stating that Nebraska gave. For calling off its long-scheduled football series with Tennessee had to do with upcoming renovations to Memorial Stadium that will reduce its seating capacity. But they believe that it likely has to do with the expanded playoffs and how the selection committee is considered to have weighed strength of schedule this past season. They think that it makes it tough with a non-conference schedule to be playing a game like that. They are saying, I read someplace that Nebraska's adding like Miami, Ohio, and Bowling Green to their schedule instead. So they're playing some of those other schools.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, yes, they are doing renovations, and that will affect the seating for a couple years. But again, why? It's just sad because if it's a long-standing rivalry, why you would cancel that one as well?
Yeah, teams they can beat. I rest my case. There you go. I knew it. I'm modest about it. It doesn't matter. It still got canceled. Somebody gets $1 million, and the other one gets to whip up on somebody else. All right, with that, it's what it is, right, Chris? I mean, you guys have already mentioned it. All I'm doing is stating the obvious. But I'll tell you what, I'm still sticking to my point. I think Tennessee would have killed Matt Rule. That, to me, just my opinion. But you guys played the game, so who cares about my opinion? Well, maybe somebody else. Anyways, FSU agrees to a settlement with ACC allowing the school to exit the conference off at $75 million in 2030. We all know that this has been a hot topic of conversation, Mel. So what do you think about FSU potentially getting their exit strategy as early as 2030?
Thank you,
brother.
You're on mute, Mel.
I think they're probably still weighing their options. This gives them a little bit of time to figure out what it is that they want to do, see how things go for the next few years. And I think even the ACC commissioner, excuse me, alluded to that as well, because things are probably going to change in college football in the next 5 years.
Right.
Because it seems like there's constant change in college football. They may only have, 2 super conferences, and they may no longer have the Power Four and like they have now, Power 5 or whatever. The Pac-12 is able to do something, but I think that it buys them some time to figure out, see what happens here in the college landscape with the Big Ten and the SEC in particular. See what it is that they decide to do. Is there more expansion on the horizon? What's going on as far as the playoffs are concerned? And again, all these things that I don't particularly care for because it's all about money. And I understand, we live in a capitalistic society. I understand that, but this is college athletics, and they really have destroyed the essence of college athletics, the purity of college athletics. The reason why we all fell in love with college athletics, they're really destroying the fabric of college athletics, where you just have young men going out there playing for the love of the game. Now, I understand, they should get a little money. I'm not upset with them getting a little money. But when you take a pay cut to go to the NFL, that's a problem. And these guys are staying in school now 6, 7 years, 8 years because of NIL money, because they know that they're not going to go professional in football. They may go pro in something else, but they're going to be taking a pay cut, whatever it is that they become professional, or they're professional for the rest of their life, whatever they job they choose to take once they get done playing college football. So we're just destroying the fabric of the game. And that's what I don't like. All the tradition, of the games is being destroyed. The big rivalries like we talked about. I mean, whoever thought that Oklahoma and Texas would be in different conferences? Nebraska and Oklahoma would be in different conferences. When Nebraska left the Big 12 and went to the Big 10, like, what is that all about? Right. And they've really done nothing since they've been in the Big 10, to be honest with you.
True.
They've been sort of a doormat. So, we'll just have to see what happens. But I just think this gives Florida State, they're going to get a little more money than everybody else. That's not going to sit well with folks long term, that they're getting more money, especially if they don't go out there and produce on the field. And some of these other schools start playing a little bit better. We don't know what North Carolina is going to do now that Belichick's over there. I anticipate that they think that they're going to be competing for championships. He didn't come there just to be a bottom dweller. So it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out.
What do you think, fans?
Yeah, I think the thing about the Florida State situation, where sometimes, you get the terms that you want, but sometimes it's a dose of reality that you wasn't really expecting. Florida State is not the brand it used to be, and I think what hurt their brand 2 years ago was when they was undefeated in the regular season. They put them in. They didn't make the college football playoff because they did end up, going to the ACC championship game and winning. But you look at the season that they had last year. This all comes down to when there was conference realignment, and Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, he did not want Florida State. Florida State wanted to go to the SEC. He did not want them. That's when they got Oklahoma. That's when they got Texas. I think Mel make a great point. sometimes when this super conference is coming, Florida State ain't the same brand. It's still a big brand. It ain't the brand it used to be. The two things that hurt Florida State the most, in my opinion, is the 2024 season and not hiring Deion Sanders. Because what happens is, all right, we're talking about today's athlete. Obviously, myself, Mel, Chris, Steven, Scott, Candy, we know about Florida State tradition, but they ain't appealing to us. They're appealing to people born in 2004, 2005, 2006. That's who you appealing to. And right now, they was like, when the kid says, Deion Sanders played at Florida State, Coach Prime, when? Because they have no clue. So they got the agreement, and like Mel said, they're going to be getting more money. But 2030 is going to be here sooner than we know it. They might have to settle for another conference and not the conference that they wanted to. And I never thought I would live long enough to where Florida State, to me, which is still a big brand, I just think that the perception of Florida State ain't the reality. And if 2030 comes, the ACC might not want them anymore. No. They can get a replacement. We'll see. But I think with 2030 coming, Florida State gonna have to either be competing for championships, winning championships, or they're gonna have to call Jerry Jones and help them with their brand and the marketing strategy, because it ain't working right now. And I hate to say that, because I know that Florida State is a part of the Big Three in the state of Florida, that being Florida State, and Miami. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, when I saw it, I never ever thought that the ACC would agree to terms. They're like, nope, we're going to make y'all sit here with us. But the fact is, no, we'll give you an extra strategy, which means we're willing to watch you walk. We think that Miami, North Carolina, Virginia, it's good enough to hold us up. So we'll see. But like I say, between now and 2030, they're going to have to make a lot of strides, because, Florida State used to produce Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks like Chris Winkie, like Jameis Winston. Now they got to get guys in the portal and hope they pan out. That's not the Florida State I grew up watching. And like I said, we'll see what happens, man. But sometimes you get good news, but good news don't mean it's gonna remain good. We'll see what happens with them boys from Tallahassee, because they got their exit strategy, but they better have a marketing strategy between now and then. Because if they don't, you talk about a bottom feeder. If Florida State goes to another conference and they don't have success like they did in the ACC, people will forget all about them. And that's crazy to say. They got Bobby Bowden plaque, a statue outside their stadium. Man, we a long ways from that at this point.
All right, Chris. Oh, you have a lot to fight on there.
It seemed like the topic been rivalries all with me, in depth in this conversation through all the topics so far. And it's sad that Florida State, like Miami and Florida State, ACC, to be honest with you, Florida State haven't been, in their athletics, they haven't really been running the show in the ACC. Like Ben, and you're all right. They poker hand. They trying to show a poker hand, but they ain't got no aces in there. To be honest with you, if you really think about it, think about when the last time, I can't remember the last time they won in their athletics when they won a championship in the ACC. Think about it. Baseball, they haven't. Basketball, they definitely haven't. In football, look, you see where they're going. So, and a lot of them, I'm hearing now that's why they can't get a lot of NIL people, because they boosters ain't got the money. They not putting up the money to get these players to come there. You seen where they got that quarterback that came from Clemson. He was at Clemson, then he went to another team. Then he was at Washington State somewhere.
No, he was at. You talking about DJ? He went to Oregon State. Oregon State.
Yeah. They ended up getting him. And you see where that went. So to be honest, they showing their poker hand. Like you said, Ben, they better be careful. They might be searching for a conference from somewhere, and their name ain't big enough like Notre Dame to be independent. So.
Let me tell you, Chris, you are right. We got a lot of depth with these topics, don't we? I do a lot of preparation and research for this. Yeah. I'll say one thing, and I'm not going to say a lot on this. I just had a couple things. I got Steven, and then I got Candy. One more college before we go to the station break. But here's what I think. Number one, Miami will wind up in the Big Ten before it's over with. That's just my gut feeling. And if Florida State ends up anywhere, they're going to look like Nebraska getting killed someplace else. That's all I have to say. Miami to the Big Ten makes sense. You got another warm weather climate, but you have the Southeast. The Big Ten is recruited well in Southern Florida. That's just my opinion. I'll just throw it out there and go from there. All right, Steven.
I mean, the gentlemen have already knocked this one out of the park, man. It's they have an exit strategy. They don't have any type of following lineage, anything like that. They have nothing to barter with to kind of get people to get some of these young athletes to come down there, and then they're also competing with the Georgias of the world, the Miamis of the world, Floridas of the they are fighting an uphill battle, and they are getting their butt kicks at every turn. So I mean, if they're going to leave, you've already sat there and said it. They're going to wind up getting their teeth kicked in where they go. They have to do something drastic and something fast, and leaving that conference isn't one of them. It happens from within. You have to change the culture there in order to kind of get the traction that you're trying to get to kind of bring in the best players in the world. It's not gonna happen overnight, and it's definitely not gonna happen with the plan that what looks like that they're putting in motion. It's gonna send them back another 10 years, if you ask me. Leaving that conference, it's gonna be the death of them.
Okay, Candy. Great points by everybody. Really, everybody's got something great to offer on this one. See what Candy comes up with.
So Florida State wanted out back in 2023. It would have cost them $572 million. Now, if they wait till 2031, it'll cost them $75 million. That's a huge difference. Like, I can understand not leaving for $572 million. They want more money because they think that they can compete with the Big Ten and the SEC if they go get more media streaming deals and more money via that. Like Ben said, they're not the FSU program that they used to be. If I think of now, and I will admit, I have only lived in the state of Florida for the last 12, 13, 14 years. But in that time, if you would ask me which state school is most prominent, which one's the more elite school, FSU is not the top of that list. And I think back a couple years, it might have been. But I think it's digressed. There's a lot of talent here in Florida. And if Florida State isn't getting a lot of that talent because Miami's getting it and the Gators are getting it, Florida State doesn't matter what conference you're going to be in. You're not going to be able to compete with the big boys.
Okay. One more college topic. Go to a station break. Mel kind of alluded to it, so now we're going to really hit it. UNC is spending nearly $12.5 million on Bill Belichick's assistant coaches for now football staff. Surprise. All right, Mel, you talked about North Carolina and the football coaches and their staff. What are your thoughts about that kind of cabbage being spent on this?
They're going all. Hey, they're pushing all their chips in the middle. They're going for it. Bill Belichick has convinced them that he is the Messiah, that he's going to take them to the promised land, and they're pushing all their chips to the middle. And I'm gonna grab my popcorn. I'm gonna be watching.
Yeah, fair enough. Ben?
I mean, $12.5 million. I mean, obviously, Bill Belichick is football royalty. I mean, he's going to have to prove himself on the collegiate level. I think he's making more headlines away from football than he ever did on the football field. Yet I hope that what he does on the football field takes people away from what's going on. I'm not here to judge him and, his fiance and their lifestyle. But Bill Belichick, when he was in the National Football League, you never heard anything like his personal life. I mean, it was all about football. And now in North Carolina, we're talking more about her and him than that. I couldn't tell you who plays for North Carolina. I couldn't tell you who their quarterback was, their receivers were, their coaches are. I know about Bill Belichick and his fiance. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's not a good thing. So $12.5 million on his staff is good, but the face of UNC is Bill Belichick. He better be winning some games, because if it's not, man, people go, because the same way they believe, the same reason why they hire you will be the same reason why they fire you. If in fact they do that, I'm not saying they're gonna do that. But North Carolina, we were just talking about Florida State. North Carolina, they got a good squad, but they ain't ready to beat no Miamis consistently. They're not ready to beat Georgia Tech consistently. They're not ready to beat the Notre Dame consistently. So, hopefully come to 2025 fall, we'll see it. We'll see.
NC State, I mean, $12.5 million is good, but I mean, you got to have horses.
Right.
Coaches don't win in college. Horses do. You got to have horses.
What do you think, Chris?
Well, I'm kind of happy for it because you think about it. Mel and Ben, we got a lot of friends that's coaching. So if this recipe really works, he's running this team like he's running it like a pro franchise. You see, we talking about all about this NIL money and all of this. He really just branding that North Carolina like a pro franchise. How he's running it right now. If that recipe works, trust me, a lot of other colleges will start doing that same format. If that format, that recipe work. And what Belichick really think he does. You see, he ain't really going out there getting no NILs and all that. He really think he's a good evaluator of talent. And then we'll see how it goes. But, like Mel say, if it's not, he's going to be ran out of there real quick because there ain't no boosters going to keep paying no 12.5.
Okay. Steven?
Listen, yeah, we all knew he was going to have a high dollar amount once he came from the NFL. And, as Chris just sitting there saying, he's one of the best evaluators of talent, regardless if he's got the Stallions in the pen or not, or if there's someone that he's going to evaluate and bring in. I still think it's going to take him a few years to turn around that program because let's be honest, when we're talking about North Carolina, not a single one of us here is thinking about their football program. Let's be honest, right? He's right there to give them some legitimacy and to make that program something that they could be proud of, because the only thing we think of when we're talking about the North Carolina is basketball. No one's talking about football, and I don't feel like from where we're standing now that's to any fault of their own, but it is the way it is. You're going to have to just there's that word again. We're going to have to develop culture, and you got to hope that all the outside noise about Bill Belichick as we get closer to the season just kind of fades away, and it gets back to being about football, because that's what Bill really does enjoy. So you have to hope that trend kind of goes that way. We'll see how it all plays out, but not upset about what it is as far as money wise, and it just you're going to have to see if he can do it on the college level. He did it on the pro level for, multiple different places for multiple different years, regardless if he always got it to work his way. He had those pro teams bouncing away and getting them in the right direction for a while. Didn't quite get it done in Cleveland. Obviously, he had his stint in New York, and that didn't end very well. And then you got obviously what he did in New England. He can change the culture. He can bring about some legitimacy to the North Carolina football program. We just have to see if he's given the time to do it and having the resources to be able to pull it off.
Candy?
Let's face it. The Las Vegas Raiders offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, is the highest paid coordinator in the NFL, making $6 million a year. And you're going to pay your assistant coaches in college double that? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's...
She wanted to say crazy, by the way. Would be nice.
Kidding me? That's crazy. Like, I mean, kudos to him, because obviously North Carolina wants to make themselves elite in football. Now the only question is, with all that high-paid talent on the coaching ranks, will that translate to NIL money and players playing and the product on the field and results? Remains to be seen. It'll be for an interesting ride. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, well,
Tom Brady going back to college?
I'm sorry?
Is Tom Brady going back to college? Because, Bill Belichick
right.
hasn't done anything without Tom Brady. Is he going back to college?
Exactly. Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to say that. Good stuff, Mel. All right, well, you know what? We'll stay on Bill Belichick for a quick second. Then we go to station break, because this show is flowing really well with this group I have here. I knew I was proud of this group from the minute they came on, and I'm making me prouder by the topic. All right, Bill Belichick says, the good teammate is somebody you can trust, count on every day. Characteristics of a good teammate. Really? Seriously, really? Do you really believe that now with all this extracurricular stuff? I don't know. I'm just leaving it out there for all those bozos and oopsies out there that maybe he was right when he coached New England, but I'm still trying to see some. The only thing good about Bill Belichick over at North Carolina is he didn't have a chance to break Don Shula's record, which is 347 to 333, and that's all I care about. But I'll repeat what I just said. A good teammate is somebody you can trust and count on every day. Characteristics of a good teammate. What do you think, Mel?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's why you have to have that time spent with one another, not just on the football field, but outside of the football field. Whether it's in a classroom, whether it's hanging out on the yard, on campus, whether it's doing something, going to your rivalries, going to one of their parties over there, and you guys might get in a little melee with some of the other guys, and your boys have got your back. I mean, there's certain things you got to do. We're going skiing like we did, and crashing parties and stuff like that. And I mean, that's important, and then that on the football field that guy's going to do what he's supposed to do, and he knows that you're going to do what you're supposed to do. You're in the weight room, he's spotting you. He's going to spot you. You're spotting him. All these things. I mean, there's just so many little things that go into putting together a football team. It's not about assembling talent. You have to. It's like putting the pieces together on a puzzle, and everything just has to fit properly. Personalities, different things of that nature, similar experiences. There's so many things that go into putting a football team together. That's one of the things that I respect about Coach Donahue and what he did when he put our team together. I mean, a bunch of nice guys, man. A bunch of nice guys. Wasn't no a-holes or anything like that. Just really a bunch of nice guys that wanted to go out there and work hard and wanted to win and do whatever it took to win. So it's going to be, that's very, very, very important. What he said. That's very important, without question.
What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the thing about football, what Coach Belichick understands is the best football teams know each other. Doesn't mean we don't have to be friends to be friendly. We don't have to know, I mean, we hang out with each other to know what makes this guy play football. Everybody plays football for a different reason. I want to know what your reason is. That way, in a sense, when we're not having what they say, culture is not what happens when your team is at its best. Culture is when your team is at its worst. The culture has to be built. So when you go back to a guy like Bill Belichick, like him, dislike him, he knows how to build culture because he knows culture is built through character. I got to know who you are, man. I don't got to like you. Football is one of those sports where that locker room is sacred. We don't all like each other, but the respect is paramount. I could be like, and we'll tell each other, I do not like you, but I respect you. And if I respect you, man, look, I don't want to let you down. So I think that's what he's trying to build. And that does take time, but he don't, a person who's great at what they do don't mind telling the world because the world can't stop them. Like, don't tell people that. Why? They can't stop me. But I do agree with Mel. I hope Tom Brady Jr. is finna be coming to North Carolina because if he ain't, it's gonna be a great storyline. But like I said, it's one of those things to where who was more important, Brady or Belichick? Well, Brady won one as soon as he left New England, and Bill Belichick is back in college. He's in college. So all these things sound great, and I know he got books coming out. They got Robert Kraft ain't in the book. Let me tell you something. Pete Carroll was great at USC, and he built the culture at Seattle. That is not easy to do. If Bill Belichick want to add to his legacy, he might want to think long and hard about being the coach of North Carolina, because guess what? That legacy will get tarnished quick if he don't win it. You don't believe me? Urban Meyer, one of the greatest coaches ever came through college football. He is the worst NFL coach of all time. You know why? Because he didn't even make it a full year. He did not make it a full year. I'm telling you, every time you see him, he got on an Ohio State shirt or a Florida shirt. He ain't got on no Jaguar shirt. You know why? Because he don't want to talk about it, and we don't want to hear about it.
That's good.
He was terrible.
That was good. I got that much said for that. Go on, Chris. Sir. Go on, Chris. Your turn. Try to stop that.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But you got to understand the Belichick, the culture. But you think about it. We haven't heard nothing out of North Carolina players. You think about it. We haven't heard nothing. We haven't seen them on social media talking about anything. I know I haven't. So I guess he might be working on the culture around now. So like all the fellas been saying, how we won championships at Miami, we was together 24/7. We was together 24/7. I mean, we did everything together. It wasn't nothing we didn't do. That's when you know that your team is tight. And I know that I don't see how, if you ain't got the talent level like he had when he was in New England, and you going to North Carolina and you trying to get them boys to come together without not having an ounce of talent, not having like being 4 or 5 star talent or bringing in no NIL players, that's gonna be a tough sale, man. That's gonna be a tough one. But I get it that he's a good evaluator. Hey, time will tell. That's all I can say. Time will tell. But I understand that he will have a close-knit team, because I guess it's players that I would see that they will buy into his system. But if not, he'll have problems while he's there.
We have a great comment in the chat room. We just want to mention that we'll keep it rolling here. We got a couple of rapid fire topics that Steve and I talked about that won't take long. Ben, don't forget the train wreck of Bobby Petrino. Oh, that was a big. Oh, my God. I think he'd prefer to forget that, but that's beside the point. I will turn over to Steve. Anybody in Atlanta should want to prefer that. Go ahead, Steve.
I mean, I'm already beating on this drum. Like, we'll see who he brings in, what kind of culture he can bring. It's one of these things that we're going to have to see what he can do. Regardless of what his namesake has brought in the past, you can only live off of that for oh so long, and we're going to see what he can do on the college level without having that top flight quarterback. He's going to have to figure out a way to put the right pieces together to get the right kids around to buy into his system. He had a hard time doing it for a few years before they got the dynasty going there in New England. So we'll have to see what happens come September. If they can put a good product on the football field. He's got to find the kids to do it.
Okay, Candy, yours, and then we have a really quick station break, and then we'll go into some other NFL topics. After we get back from the break, we'll have a couple rapid fire topics. Steve and I went over a couple of them on last night's edition of Professor of the People. We'll keep the pace rolling, having a great show tonight. This group is unbelievable. I knew we were building a legacy and a buzzsaw with this group. So go ahead, Candy, you got the last word, station break, then we come back.
So part of culture is holding players accountable, holding coaches accountable. Disciplined approach, emphasis on hard work, strong leadership, trusting that everybody in that locker room is going to do what's right on the field. What they do off the field is that. But what's on the field, in the locker room, stays in the locker room, stays with them, trust themselves, be teammates, build a culture about respecting each other, because I think that's really what you have to have. Some of the things that you hear about is how before some of these young rookies, before Tom Brady when he went to Tampa Bay, what did he do? He got together with some of his teammates and talked with them ahead of time. Getting together, getting to know the people on your team, building that camaraderie, watching film together, analyzing it, doing things as a group, as a whole, instead of being individualistic. Because I think that's what detracts. And that's where, the Urban Meyer and the whole, bringing attention to himself and all that destroyed the culture. You've got to build that up. It'll remain to be seen what kind of results that'll be on the field for North Carolina and Bill Belichick.
Okay, Candy, you got your quick station break. Not plenty to go, but a few rapid fire coming up. Have a lot of great topics left.
Okay, South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talked about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Okay, Scott.
All right, rapid fire. Steve and I talked about this. We'll talk about it really quickly, then we'll go to everybody else. Baltimore Ravens signed John Harbaugh to a 3-year extension. All I'll say about it was great move for Baltimore. Hated to see him fire Brian Billick, and to this day, I wonder why he never got another NFL job, but that's for another day and another time. But great move, keep continuity over there. Steven?
Listen, like I said, he's a guy that's kind of made for he's made for Baltimore. He's already made his mark already, so to speak. So we'll see how it plays out the next few years. They lock him in for a multi-year deal. Let's see if they can get over the hump and get back to the Super Bowl.
Candy?
Good move for them. Consistency, I think, has always been key. I think that he's proven himself that he's a good coach and that he's had success. So kudos for them recognizing it and paying him for it.
Chris?
You're on mute, Chris.
You're on Chris. Mute Chris.
Sorry about that. Great move. That was a hell of a move for them. You got to understand, he's backed by Hall of Fame players like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all of them boys. He know how to control the locker room, and the players believe in him, and he got a great track record. So why not?
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Ravens is, I mean, they're very, very consistent. Harbaugh, what he's done, I mean, since he's been there, it's been the model of consistency. And I give the Ravens front office a lot of credit. Justin Tucker was supposed to be a sour patch, a sour moment for the Ravens. Since then, they've re-signed Derrick Henry, they've re-signed Harbaugh, and they've gotten away from that. Good teams find a way to do damage control in broad daylight, and no one bats an eye. So congratulations to Coach Harbaugh. And like I said, he's done everything but get back to another Super Bowl and win it. Lamar Jackson, when he got drafted, said he's going to bring a Super Bowl. They got to finish the deal, but good job. That was one of the easy decisions that front office going to make, giving Harbaugh an extension.
Mel, you got a final word on it.
Yeah, I agree. He deserved it. He earned it. I mean, Baltimore is one of those teams that you got to buckle your chin strap up real tight because they're going to bring it. And he's been doing that. All he needed was the opportunity. He's taking advantage of that opportunity. He has won a Super Bowl, beat his brother in the Super Bowl. I mean, and then if you decide to get rid of him, who are you going to replace him with? I mean, the guy, I like the Harbaugh brothers. I mean, they're good people. They're good guys. I don't think it could have happened to a better guy.
More rapid fire. Can Indianapolis keep the NFL combine long term? The NFL says it's considering new options to host a scouting combine. You know what? We're going to go back to you, Mel. Can Indy keep it?
Yeah, I think they'll probably move it around like they did the draft. I mean, whoever thought that they would move the draft around the country? It's been hugely successful. I think they will give other cities an opportunity to bid on it. Again, it's all about money. I think they'll give other cities an opportunity to bid on it, and it's gonna be a road show as well. I don't particularly care for that necessarily, like it being televised and all that kind of stuff. These guys, it's a job interview. They're going out there doing, trying to perform in front of scouts and executives going out there because it's really a job interview. They're going out, and I think it's a violation of their personal space to have the type of coverage that they have. But again, this is a machine, and they've done a very good job of marketing this machine and keeping it relevant 12 months out of the year. And the combine is just another one of those things that keeps it relevant. Then shortly thereafter, you have the draft. So yeah, but I do believe that it will probably become a road show, and it'll be a traveling thing here very soon.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. Indy's had their run, and people just have grown to accept it to be in Indy. But you look at, I remember when the draft was always in New York, Radio City Music Hall, right, off the Avenue of America's cross from the building. Shit, I used to work there, man. I mean, the tower in Yale building. But the thing about the combine is, like Mel said, it is invasive. It is crazy, especially if you had to attend it. But a new place might get new eyes. The NFL, they know what they're doing, man. They're saying, look at what the draft does. So let's take it out of Indy. Let's see if guys, let's see if guys could potentially perform well in another city. So, yeah, I can see them doing that because, like I said, if they'll take the draft out of New York, it's amazing that Indy has had the combine this long. And when people say, well, where are they going to do it? Think of dome teams, Houston, Atlanta, those type of teams because you got to be able to control the weather. So, yeah, man, and I think that Washington might be getting the dome. Nashville might be getting the dome. So if you have oh my God, you know where the first city going to be at? It's going to be in Dallas. It's going to Dallas.
Yep.
I can already see it. I wish it wasn't, Steven. I wish it wasn't. But if anybody got first dibs, it's Jerry Jones. Then that's going to be the first combine. I'm not going to tune in. My cable will not be working for 3 days. I promise.
That's great stuff. All right, Chris. Sorry you got to follow him, but he's not easy.
Like everyone was saying, the NFL, they're doing a great job. They're going to be moved around. They're going to be a show on the road. And you hit it on the nail, Ben. They're going to Dallas. You know, Jerry's World going to have that coverage. So, and then we maybe see a lot of other guys, maybe they'll participate more. But, we'll see how it goes. But it will be on the road. I think that they've been there long enough in Indianapolis. It's time to change it up. Change it up a little bit.
What about you, Candy?
I definitely think it's going to go on the road. Just like everybody has said, the NFL is about making money, moving it around to different stadiums, different fan bases, just like they did the NFL draft. I mean, everybody said that Green Bay couldn't handle the NFL draft, and yet that was a big success. Now, they're not going to get the combine because there's no way they're going to go in February to, Green Bay, but there's a lot of other cities that aren't getting Super Bowls, but they can get an NFL combine and can get the draft. So I see it moving. Just don't know when.
Steven?
Yeah, like I was saying last night, it's just an obvious move here that Indy's not going to be able to continue be the sole owner home of it. I had already said it last night that it's going to be Dallas that's probably going to be the one of the bigger locations. As Ben was also bringing up, Washington's now getting a dome. You're going to see some of those domed teams to be able to host it. We'll probably see it in New Orleans, other places like that. But it's just the natural thing of the machine moving, and it's not a matter of if, it's just when they're going to find a way to market it in that way.
Yeah, the Combine's had a good run in Indianapolis. The reason why it's there, by the way, was centrally located in the Midwest, where everybody could get to it. It was a convenient place for a long time, but it's not a matter of ifs, man. They're moving, no doubt. And I like the analogy that was brought up earlier about the NFL draft being in New York, over Music City Hall, Radio City Music Hall, and all of a sudden moved around. So that was whoever came up with that one, that was absolutely fantastic. Great comparison. Well, we're on that draft theme real quickly. Future draft sites. What city would you like to see host the NFL draft? Just so you know, the Washington's going to get it in 2027. Rapid fire again. Chris, you can lead off with this one. Washington getting it 27, but where else would you like to see? Give me one or two cities.
Bring that thing down to South Beach, baby. Come on down to Miami. Come on, perfect weather. It's gonna be the perfect weather for everybody. Hey, trust me, that'll be one big show. One big show. You got everything for them to market. You got a places for them to go, a fan base, and then guess what? What's better than having it on South Beach? Everybody loves that's. Everyone have fun whenever the Super Bowl here. So think about it.
Well, you know what? When we get together, we'll have a strawberry margarita on that one, and I'll buy. Okay?
I'm in recovery, so mine gonna have to be a virgin.
Well, then you know what? I'll have a virgin too, that kind. Oh, I don't drink much at all. I have so much medication, and you know what? I'll just take a regular iced tea and we'll be done with it. How's that sound?
I hear that, buddy.
You just have to put a muzzle on me so I don't overdo it like my old because I'll tell you what, I'm like an Energizer bunny when it comes to that stuff. I keep going and going and going with the iced teas, and you know what'll happen. I'm like this. Okay, so now at least Ben has to follow you instead of the other way around. Where do you think you want it to go, Ben? Ben,
Hold on.
that's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yes,
hear
sir.
you.
Hold
All
on.
right. All right. Now you hear him. No, you don't.
Dum, dum, dum. Technology
Yeah, look
wins
at that.
again.
That's all right. Hey, he's hanging in there a little bit longer this time. He's doing okay. But when he comes back, we'll let him go. Where do you want it to go, Mel?
No, I really don't care. I'd like Detroit to get it again, just because that's the hometown. I'm sure Atlanta's going to get it. I mean, I'm sure it's going to travel to every NFL city. It's going to go to every NFL city. That's what it's going to do. And it's pretty exciting for those fan bases. You saw. I know what the turnout was like in Detroit. I happened to be up there during that time, and the buzz around the city,
Right.
having the draft there. You saw what it was like in Green Bay. And we saw what it was like in Nashville. I think it was a few years ago. So the NFL has figured something out. Take this thing on the road. Let more fans get involved. Let more fans get up close and personal look at the process and how everything works and some of their favorite players. It's a marketing machine, and they're a money machine. Brilliant, as they say. So I expect it to go to every NFL city, and doesn't really matter to me. But I'd like for it to go back to Detroit just because I'm a homer.
Fair enough. Okay, what do you think, Steven?
Listen, we're gonna see it everywhere. I'm with Chris on this one. You want to see it hit the state of Florida, regardless if we're doing Jacksonville, we're doing Miami. However, it winds up working down. It's that time of year. It's kind of an ideal place because it doesn't matter if it's indoor or outdoor. It's going to work out for everyone. But hey, big man's back.
There he is. Okay.
But
okay.
I'm also going to be with Mel, even though it's already been here in Philadelphia. I want to bring it back. I want the draft again.
All right, Ben.
Well, ain't nobody say A-Town. Ain't nobody say Atlanta. You don't want to see it in the
Mel brought it up.
Oh, okay. I was about to say okay because I mean I was over here having listen. I am biased. I knew that Chris was gonna say come to Miami. I knew it. But you want to see the stars come out for real? Come to the ATL. Come, because I think sometimes when it comes to a place like Atlanta, no, the Falcons ain't going to a Super Bowl anytime soon. We get that. We understand that. But a whole city. Man, I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be standing room only. I mean, these hotels are going to be incredible. I think that the atmosphere will be incredible. And I think the city is really going to roll out the red carpet for these players and their families in a way that only like they could. I mean, as a person that got drafted by the Titans in 2019, when I got to when I got to work the draft, but when I got drafted in 2004 to be there in 2019, it was crazy. Because I grew up as a young man in that city. So Atlanta, whenever they host one, me and Mel will be down there corresponding saying, listen, man, we sitting down here live, what I'm saying, off a Peachtree, let y'all young, because the great thing about it was though, when I hosted the draft in 2019, people don't know. I'm suited and booted, so I'm walking through the crowd, and some lady goes, "Sir, you lost? Or you supposed to be on the other side?" I'm like, "Y'all know who the hell I am." I took the pictures and signed some autographs, but Miami, listen, it's gonna be hard to top Miami. But if there's a 1B, I'm gonna say the ATL. I think it'll be incredible.
We know Chris doesn't want to see in Detroit because he have a feeling where we're going to go, right, Chris? Just kidding with you. We talked about it.
Hey, we're gonna get the roll. You're gonna get the Cadillac, baby.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And Chris and I are Florida guys, anyways. All right, go ahead, Candy. You know what, Chris? I couldn't resist, man. You know that, right?
Man, you're gonna be with the gangster lean, baby. This woo woo woo.
Yeah, I'm not looking to get in the doghouse. I got 2 cats here. Go ahead and go.
So yeah, I would love it in Miami, of course, because that wouldn't be far from me. I could see it in New Orleans now that we went to the Super Bowl over there. I could see that. I could see Denver. But what about like cities that no longer have NFL? I mean, because you don't go into the stadium. We were in Detroit. We weren't in Ford Field. What about like St. Louis and some of these other, big cities that don't have NFL teams? They could get it too.
You just want to rub it in their face?
Yeah, right. Yes, the NFL paid a lot of money to St. Louis to get out of that jackpot, but I hear you.
They sure did. Yeah, Kroenke paid a lot of money.
Yeah, I know.
And what about Los Angeles?
Well, they different.
I mean, it's going to happen. We know that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the St. Louis idea. I'm with you, but the NFL paid a boatload of money thinks that Kroenke could get out of it.
Well, but there's some other big cities that could host it that don't have NFL teams, though, too. Because if they can move it around from New York City and draw fans, they can draw fans in any of the big cities. They might, hey, let's face it, they might even take it international. Let's face it, they're playing international games. They could take it international, too.
Interesting. Me personally, like Chris, we'll keep it in South Florida. I'm good. I wouldn't mind going to Tampa. I have no problem. Jacksonville's okay. But especially since they're getting that new stadium of the future, we'll see how that plays out. But at least
we'll have it in Oakland.
Good luck.
I don't think that would go over well.
Hey, listen, if they put it in New Orleans, I have no problem going back to Biloxi and winning some more money over there. I usually get candy. Once I win some money there and I play, I'm a good gambler for us and a bad one for the casinos, but we'll leave that another story. I don't bet a lot of money. I take the cash and run and buy her stuff. Not the worst thing in the world. You got to get your roll. It's really something. All right, we'll stay with the draft. Really easy. Another rapid fire NFL. 246 NFL players were high school players were actually taken in the NFL draft. What do you think of that number, Chris? High school players.
What's to repeat that, buddy?
246 NFL players, high school, were selected in the NFL draft. It's the number I ended up getting. Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it?
That is a lot.
That's the number of high schools?
Yeah, different high schools that were taken.
That's not a lot when you think of the number of high schools are out there.
It's a lot of high schools. I don't know. Do you think that's a lot, Chris?
Well, not really. I'm with Mel. It's not a lot of high schools in there. You think about a whole draft.
Okay. That's true. Just throw it out. The NFL throws this stuff at me. I just want to throw it at you guys. Mm-hmm. Neither of you think it's a lot. What do you think, Chris? Ben?
Well, I don't think it's a lot. I really don't.
Yeah. Ahead, I'm gonna say 246. I mean, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good publicity for those high schools. But but if you start talking about, and I'm going back to the state of Florida now, you start talking about, Miami. I mean, Miami Central. You start talking about St. Thomas Aquinas, Plant, and Tampa, Lincoln, and Tallahassee. They putting them out every year. But the NFL, man, like I say, they are a marketing branding machine, right? You know what the NFL should do though? Give cameras to every single player that's coming out in the draft, right? And that way we can see where every single player was, if they got drafted or didn't get drafted, because the NFL experience is not just the guys that get their name called. It's going to be a bunch of – listen, I was a part of the 2004 NFL draft. Wes Welker went undrafted. So the evaluation is good. It's not great. It's good. It's not great. But make sure we, instead of telling us how many high schools got drafted, how many high schools were involved, period. Like, how many high schools are represented in all? Like, you start saying 3,000. Oh, okay. Because, like I said, them numbers are small, man. 246, that's a nice number, man. But, shoot, there might be 246 high schools in Atlanta. I don't know how many it is, but it's a bunch of them. Atlanta, man, please. Crazy.
That's a great point. Okay, Candy, I don't know what kind of research you're doing on this one, but
so
this year, how many high schools are there? 26,000 high schools.
This year, 257 players were selected, representing 246 high schools across the country. IMG Academy out of Bradenton, Florida led the way with 3 players selected, while 9 schools had 2. 41 states and the District of Columbia each had 1 player drafted. Texas, with 4 of the 11 schools to produce multiple draft players, led all states with 37 players selected in the 2025 draft, followed by Florida with 26 players, Georgia 22, California 16, Louisiana 10, and Virginia 10.
Okay. Interesting numbers. All right, we'll continue on. Steven?
Like the guys are saying, man, it's really not a lot when you think about it. Like, it all really depends on some of these states. You might have that many schools in just one of the states. So it's like, as Ben was sitting there saying, it's a marketing thing. They can throw these numbers at you, but it's just like and Candy was just breaking it down. There was less than a handful of schools that had more than 2 guys selected. It's nice. It's nice to look at it when you're doing media and you're looking at a piece of paper, but it's really not that much. It's not that big of a number. So we'll look into see why that was kind of being reported that way. But other than that, it's just
guess what, Stephen? We're media, okay. And what are we doing? What was the other part? We're media, and we're doing the reporting. We reported it. Bingo. Rapid fire topic again. Players can participate in flag football at the LA Olympics 2028, the LA Coliseum. Good idea, Chris, or not? You like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Love it. That'd be great. All the stars will be out to that. You know that. Great place.
I haven't been to the LA Coliseum. If I ever go up to the LA Coliseum, that'd be the event to do it. But you do like the idea, huh?
Yes. I love the idea.
Okay, what about you, Mel?
Yeah, I like the idea as well. I mean, I think as football players, we always grew up watching the Olympics and wishing that we had an opportunity to play in the Olympics. It was not so much about representing your country or anything like that. Just having that Olympic experience. I think that's something. Not many people that have that opportunity to do that. I went to college, and I'm sure Dan and Chris did. The guys that went to the Olympics, and that's a big time experience. And I think it's great that they'll have that opportunity to experience, have that Olympic experience. I think that's good.
What do you think, Ben?
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, it's the ultimate bragging right. I mean, when you get to talk about sports, and people gonna say, I was a Pro Bowler, I was an All Pro, I was I made it to the playoffs, I made it to the Super Bowl, I was an Olympian. You was a what? I was an Olympian. Not if I won the gold or the silver or the bronze. I was an Olympian, and once again, this is the only way you can have football, because most other continents and countries, they don't have it. We have to teach them that. So that's how you now we better win it. We talk a lot of trash in the States. And I know Mel said you don't want to represent your country. You don't want to lose either. Cause we gonna be on you now. They're gonna be like, bro, we finally get the Olympics, you go out there and look like that. We trash talkers if we don't got to go out there. As my daddy say, when you play a sport, the older you get, the better you were. Boy, when I was out there, if I would have been out there, they would have, but I don't got to go out there. So all I do is talk trash from the sideline. But yeah, I think it's great, man. I really, really do. A lot of players in the football always talked about being Olympians and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what players actually are allowed to participate. I know you can have current players, but it ain't going to be Patrick Mahomes, and it ain't going to be Lamar Jackson, but you got a lot of pro guys that going to get a chance to go out there and showcase their talent.
Candy?
Let's face it. In hockey, they had the Four Nations. That was wildly popular. They have World Baseball Classic. It's a chance for football to represent their country and play and compete. They don't have that in football. They have it in hockey. They have it in baseball. They have it in the other sports. So the NFL I think it's a very good move to allow their players to represent the countries and play flag football.
Steven?
I mean, listen, we knew this was going to be a matter of time. I already knew that this was going to be a thing. Oh, me and Ben, when we interviewed Vinny Papale, his son, he's been working with the Italian flag football team to be an Olympian. So you've already seen guys who maybe didn't make it in the NFL have the opportunity to sit there and say that they could be an Olympian and could represent their country. But I mean, at this point in time, if you're one of those other countries, you got to be like, man, there goes our chances, because now that the NFL athletes are going to have the ability to do it, oh, man, then just be like, all right, so we're going to get silver in this because gold's out now. And as you were sitting there saying who's going to be doing it, we already, Philadelphia media already asked AJ Brown. He's like, I'm good. I don't want to hear about it because that's when we're going to be in training camp, and then you're going to be complaining I was in training camp and saying this is the reason why that's not going to happen. So you're going to have the con side of it that you get from the pressure of being an NFL athlete, but as the guys were already sitting there saying, that the fact that you're going to be able to sit there and say that you were able to kind of represent your country and go to the Olympics, regardless if we're talking here in the States or wherever it happens to be internationally, it's a once in a lifetime thing. So it's like it's a good opportunity for some of these guys to get out of it. And I don't think it's just we're talking about the current professional athletes. What about some of the guys who've recently retired and things of that nature? You're giving them kind of another opportunity to have your glory, have their days before ending their professional careers. And I guess in some ways it would be their international careers too. So we'll see how it all goes. We'll see who actually goes and signs up and says that they're going to do flag football for the United States. But it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see who, the what, the where, the wins.
Don't forget the when, who, what, when, where, why, and how for all you journalists. Okay, 5Ws, 1H. All I'll say is this. Number one, if nobody gets hurt, I'm happy. If that's my ticket to the LA Coliseum, since I've been to so many other stadiums, I'm good. I've only seen the Coliseum from the outside. I'd love to go. I would definitely go to it. 2 more topics to get to. One more draft topic, and then we are going to Mr. Irrelevant. I got to do the same thing like it happened many years ago. All right. Wonder why there's a method for what? Oh, whatever. All right. Draft fact. 68 quarterbacks have been drafted in the 5th round. Only one has made it to a Pro Bowl in the Common Era. That was Mark Brunell. Ken Shudor Sanders being number 2. What are your thoughts, Chris?
You're on mute, brother.
You're on mute.
Mark Brunell used to do his thing too, man. The lefty.
Yeah.
Shaders, he do have a chance, to step up and make his mark because he's doing well right now. It seems like he's getting a buzz going on in the the mini camps, in the rookie camp he just did. So I take my hat off. I hope that he be able to make some noise like Mark Brunell did.
Mel?
Yeah, he can. I mean, if given the opportunity, hopefully he's given the opportunity. He put up big numbers in college, played a lot of football, taken a lot of snaps, been under the fire. Cleveland is a perfect situation for him. He'll as long as they really give him an opportunity to compete, I think he'll go out there and do well. I mean, just your draft status really has to do with how they perceive you. If you're a 1st-round draft pick, you have to prove that you can't play. If you're a later round draft pick, free agent, you have to prove that you can play. And you're not going to get that many opportunities to prove that you can play. So each and every snap that he takes is important. And he has to look at it that way as it might be his last snap. And I think he's built for it. I think he's ready for it as long as he's given the opportunity. Smart kid, like I said, played a lot of football. And I think he has an opportunity to do great things. I mean, there's other people who weren't drafted that have gone on to have great careers, like Tony Romo. We make a big deal out of Brock Purdy, what he did. I mean, he's not doing anything that hasn't been done before. There have been, Tom Brady, look what he's done. So it doesn't matter where you're drafted. It just matters what you do when you get there. And if he goes out there and takes care of his business, nobody will remember this. He'll laugh about it.
Fair enough. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think he will do it too. I think when you start talking about it caters to what he does. I mean, we in the passing league right now. When you talk about wide open offenses, and the thing about Shedeur Sanders, I mean, he did it in high school, he did it at Jackson State, he did it at Colorado, and his ultimate validation was not just only being drafted. Colorado had the most receivers taken in his draft. So out of all these schools, Colorado had the most receivers taken. So the thing about Shedeur Sanders, he knows this. He says, look, man, 99.9% of the criticism I get is because people can't stand my dad. And I get it. But the one thing you can't say about Shedeur, he can throw that thing and he can play. So not a matter of if. When he becomes a Pro Bowler, you know what he's making irrelevant? Yeah, quarterbacks that go in these top rounds. Because just a top round quarterback just has he has a more of a chance to fail because they expect you to be a program changer.
Right.
They expect you to be the one to be the face of this franchise. Well, as much as Shadur Sanders has done in college, if he makes Cleveland a winner and a contender, what they gonna have to say then? Because like I said, I mean, we wasn't in these evaluation rooms. We wasn't in these meeting rooms. Yes, he probably overplayed his hand a little bit as far as like the advice his daddy gave him. But like Mel said, it's not who drafts you, it's where you land. It's the system, right, that you in. He in a good system. Joe Flacco's probably going to be the starter. He probably going to be the backup. Dylan Gabriel is probably going to be the third string. Kenny Pickett's probably going to get cut. And Deshaun Watson, he's still on the PUP list. Shadur Sanders is going to play quality football this year. Listen, in 2006, when I was with the Titans, we drafted Vince Young at the third overall pick. Our starting quarterback was Kerry Collins. Who you think was going to play that year? They knew Vince Young was going to play eventually because Kerry Collins was the quarterback. So, and when Vince got in there, he won his last 8 games, ended up winning Rookie of the Year, making the Pro Bowl. I'm just saying, Shadur Sanders, he's going to be fine. If you are a Cleveland Browns fan or enthusiast, you can't wait to see that 12 get out there on the field. And I think he will be a Pro Bowler. And he's going to do more for the league than the league can do for him because he's going to make being drafted late not something that's obsolete. They're going to say, look, man, can he be a starter one day? I know we're finna talk about Brock Purdy, but I think a guy like Shadur Sanders makes his team better. I think Brock Purdy benefited from being on an already put together team.
Great points all the way around, Ben. Candy.
I think he, as long as he takes advantage of the opportunities that he's given, I think he'll do fine. Can he do it? Of course he can. It'll be interesting to see the chemistry they have with the team. And as long as, and I think he can block the outside noise. And I think that'll be what's important, to really listen to his coach and really gel with the team. I think he'll be just fine.
Steven.
I absolutely think he'll be a Pro Bowl caliber player in this league. As we were already talking about, he's in a perfect situation. He doesn't have to go out there and put the team on his back immediately. You have guys in a Joe Flacco that can kind of be his mentor to kind of guide him to how to be a professional. Kenny Pickett's there as well. Yeah, so that I think, in my opinion, the reason why you bring guys like that in when you draft guys like that is so they have somebody they can sit there and try to help mold these kids to potentially take over the team, to be a superstar. I think Shadur Sanders has more than just the tape and the intangibles to potentially be a Pro Bowler, but bring relevancy back to Cleveland Brown football. I was just talking about it with my guest last night, and Jessica, she couldn't have been happier that where they are at in the quarterback situation room. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I absolutely think he'll be a Pro Bowler in Cleveland before everything's said and done.
The only thing I'll say about it, one more topic, I want to make sure we get it all in so everybody has a shot. First of all, the only thing that surprised me about the whole thing is I'm surprised there's 68 of them and only one has been there. That's the only thing outside the crooked number you have. Cleveland hasn't had a legitimate quarterback since Bernie Kosar back in the day. Otherwise, that's it. So, yeah, I think Shadur Sanders is on house money, and he has a chip on his shoulder. That's all you need to know. He'll be fine. All right, final topic of the get. I had to plan it this way. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, so I decided to, by design, to make him the last topic because, well, he's Mr. Relevant, but Mr. Irrelevant by my executive producer head. Okay, but his rookie deal that he signed was for $3.74 million. His second contracts were $265 million, 5 years. 7th highest paid quarterback, $181 million in guarantees. He has to play, by the way, for Kyle Shanahan, and 165.05 first years, according to NFL media. First of all, we'll go around the horn quickly with you, Steven. What do you think of the money? You think it's a good deal or bad deal?
I'm still laughing at this because, listen, I get it. At the end of the day, where the money is, especially for the quarterback, it's through the roof. It's through the roof. Brock Purdy's probably the 7th best guy on his roster. If that. So it's one of those things. Listen, overpay for him. It's only going to make easier for the rest of the team. You've seen what he was last year when he didn't have some of the pieces around him. And granted, when you lose a Christian McCaffrey, when you're not getting your production out of your number one and number two receivers on the outside, and all you're left is with an aging star tight end, it makes things a little bit difficult for you. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I mean, listen, he's the seventh best one, which now knocks the current Super Bowl MVP out of the top 10 as far as paid quarterbacks. Listen, when you're in that situation and you're I would say slightly overpaying for him, but who else are they going to go to? Are they going to let him walk? Because that's not going to work that way with franchise tag or if he didn't even go comp pick why. But it's one of those things where you're going to have to see how it plays out. Will he overplay that contract? We'll see in the coming weeks and months.
All I'll say is the 49ers paid for the position. They had no choice. They paid for the position, seventh highest. That's all I'm going to say. And by the way, watch out for Mac Jones. He's still there too. Candy, some quick thoughts on this. I know you do a lot of research. So that doesn't take a lot for the seventh highest pass. What are your thoughts?
Well, let's face it. He is Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Tua are all paid more than him, and none of them have a Super Bowl ring either. So it's the going rate. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, does Trevor Lawrence deserve his contract? I mean, he's getting more than Brock is. And, so is he better than – I mean, in today's day and age, the quarterback gets paid beaucoup de bucks. And like Steven said, who else are they going to go out and get? Are they going to go out and get Aaron Rodgers? Because he's still up there, but who else? So I don't think they had much choice. I mean, he's not an elite quarterback, but he's a good quarterback.
Chris?
For 5 years, $265 million. The Niners finished fourth in total offense last year. Purdy was seventh in QBR. The team, we know the team collapsed under a rash of injuries. They finished the second half of the season at 2-6. Now, Adam Schefter, did y'all hear? Adam Schefter reported Purdy camp tried to get him $65 million a year. This is ludicrous. And I'm like, where Patrick Mahomes at? He should just say, hey, I'm sitting out, man. Pat Mahomes should be getting $65 million a year. But hey, that's a growing rate of the quarterback now. Hey, I tell you all, Mel and Ben, our parents had us too soon.
Mm-hmm.
All this money out here right now. We came at the wrong time, fellas.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Man. It's like, this is monopoly money now. It's monopoly money. It's monopoly. Hey, this dude, this Shanahan, this guy might lose you. I don't know. If they don't do nothing in the next 2 years, I think what they're gonna do with their front, what Shanahan ain't gonna be going probably.
True. What do you think, Mel? Monopoly money. I like that. That was good. It is though.
All the quarterbacks make too much money, other than probably Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. All the quarterbacks are overpaid. Quarterbacks are judged on wins and losses. San Francisco hasn't done anything. Now, right. He's the beneficiary of going to because he was drafted as late as he was, going to a good franchise with a quarterback-friendly offense. And he's a smart kid. He played a lot of football. I watched him play at Iowa State. He played a lot of football, so he's seen a lot of things. It didn't surprise me that he played the way that he did because I watched him play. I mean, I think he's a 3 or 4 year starter at Iowa State, so he's played a lot of football. But all these quarterbacks getting paid too much money, and again, they don't want to pay the running back. But the quarterback's best friend, as proven by what Lamar Jackson did last year, finishing second in the MVP balloting. And by Jalen Hurts being the MVP of the Super Bowl, the quarterback's best friend is a running game, and you've got to be able to run the football. And I think you see the NFL kind of going back to that a little bit, understanding that all quarterbacks aren't going to be that guy. You know, every quarterback can't reset the market just because it's my turn. That's not the way that it works. How many games have you won? What have you done? You know, Brock Purdy, he can't. He's a point guard, so he needs other pieces there. He needs a good offensive line. He needs a good running game. He needs a tight end, and he can distribute the football because he's smart. He can get rid of the football. He knows where to go with the football, and he can get rid of the football quickly. But you can't put it on Brock Purdy just like they can't put it on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was at his best when Ezekiel Elliott was leading the league in rushing. That's when he was at his best, when the Dallas Cowboys were were pounding the rock. So, look, I'm happy for Brock. I think they make a big deal out of him being Mr. Irrelevant. Tony Romo wasn't drafted, and he had a pretty good career. He ended up being a pretty good quarterback, making pretty good money, and he's had pretty good life after football as well. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that Brock is getting this kind of money. He's earned it. He works hard, but again, all the quarterbacks are getting paid too much money, other than the three that I mentioned.
All right, Ben, you got last word on it. We got about 7-8 minutes to go.
I mean, obviously, we knew he was going to get his money. I mean, his resume, I mean, whether you like it or not, he does have a good resume. 2 NFC Championship appearances, won one, lost to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, which we knew that when they kicked the football on 4th and goal, with 6 yards to go, and they gave it to Patrick Mahomes, how it was going to end up. But Brock Purdy had C-Mac. He had Brian Ayuk. He had Deebo Samuels. He had George Kittle. He had his fullback. He had Trent Williams. He had Fred Warner. He had Drake Kinlaw. He had a hell of a team around him. He just came up short. No, they paid Brock Purdy for 2 reasons. What he's done, and this is them saying, whew, because it didn't work out with Trey Lance. It did not work out. And just like the reason why Tony Romo was in the booth is because of Dak. The reason why Joe Flacco has been on 3 or 4 different teams is because of Lamar. If I get a guy, right, and he ends up being better than the guy we drafted in the first round or the guy that's been around, I'm going to reward him for that. I don't like the fact that the quarterbacks get to reshape the market because it's their time to get paid. Does your play warrant how much you're getting paid? Quarterbacks is not like that. The reason why Trevor Lawrence makes the same amount of money as a guy like Josh Allen is because he was the #1 overall pick and they re-signed him. That's it. He didn't do anything else. But Brock Purdy is a good player, not a great player, like Cam Newton said. He's a game manager, not a game changer. But Kyle Shanahan, they better find a way to get it done, because if they don't, Kyle Shanahan is latching his career or latching his head coaching career right now in San Francisco to Brock Purdy's wagon. Well, we'll see what happens with that, because like I said, Brock Purdy is good when everybody around him is good. People start getting hurt, he takes a step back. It's not his fault. I mean, he's the greatest Mr. Irrelevant in NFL history, bar none. He is him. But once again, it's one thing to be that when you haven't got paid. You better be that after you get paid. $262 million, 180 something guaranteed. I mean, Mel, Chris, I don't know if our parents had us at the wrong time. We played the wrong position. God, dog, I should have just played quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying, these days, even backup quarterbacks making good money. But you know what, man? We will be watching Brock Purdy. Congratulations, sir. But the fact that you make more money annually than Patrick Mahomes is a travesty. It's awful.
Unbelievable. That's why I saved this topic for last, so I could get that comment out of him and the hat. Well, all these hats that are represented here. Of course, Candy has beautiful hair. And of course, Chris Jones. Well, I'm going to get him a new hat. Of course, I don't know if any hat yet. He looks good with his regular hair. He don't need a hat. Okay, a lot of us. I
want one of them player hats from Detroit, baby.
All right, we'll work it out. I'll work it out. Don't worry about that. Whatever you want. When we get together, we have our regular drinks without the alcohol. We'll figure it out. Fair enough. Gotcha. I may get you a Motor City Madmouth hat instead. How does that sound? Because we're teammates. All right, we're running out of time here. But since Mel has a nonprofit in Atlanta, let everybody know in this group what it is, especially your neighbor to the left in Atlanta. And then we'll go around real quickly. Candy, a quick station break. Go ahead, Mel. You get first dibs on it. Let everybody know they get a hold of you.
Yeah, you get a hold of me on all the social media at Melfar Jr. And you can find out, keep an eye on what we have going on for the youth here in Atlanta. Also up there in Detroit at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org.
Very good. All right, Chris, where can they get a hold of you?
CT Jones 82 on all the social media platforms. I love to throw my wife organization out there. Her nonprofit is Lady Deb's Debonaires. She worked with high school students that's unprivileged high school students, getting them into college. And I love that. I love for her to get that shout out.
Beautiful. Well, I'm glad you were able to get the shout out in. That's why I'm making sure you guys get it. All right, Ben, what's your shout out tonight?
Man, at being Troop 84 on all social media platforms. My nonprofit is called The Uncommon Crew. That's The Uncommon CRU. The website is under construction, man. But I mean, hey, man, it's based in my hometown of Swainsboro, Georgia. Just an enrichment mentoring program for boys ages 12 through 18. We're about to have our first graduate here in 2 days. So, I mean, we just, in the words of Killer Mike, he said, if everybody does a little, nobody has to do a lot. So this is me doing my part.
Well, guess what? We'll make sure Mel and have phone numbers before it's all said and done. Steve, your quick shout out. Candy has a final word on our shout out. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the same for me. Just Stephen Rochelle. It's Steve Sports Talk 1 on X. Stephen Rochelle on the YouTube there. Pretty easy to find me. Facebook, Instagram. Just make sure you're tuning in all the programming, my friends. We're gonna keep the fun stuff going. We got a lot of fun stuff going this week. Have at it, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about how the media industry has changed over his 40-plus years in the industry. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google, Apple, Kindle, all those places. There's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content. Go check it out. There's also a link to our merchandise store, his book. You can watch all of our shows. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast as well. One last plug. Preceding this show, tonight on Tuesday nights is the Chicks podcast. I'm one of the Chicks. Chicks and Salsa, or 3 chicks in a pod.
And of course, we can't forget Professor and the Pupil. Steve and I have it, and he has the real and the rare. So with that said, you're going to see this group twice a month. You got Ben, you got Mel, you got Chris. Of course, you get to see Ben, you get Steve, you get Candy and I once. We come on 4 times a month. So we have a lot of fun doing that. So anybody that wants to join us, that's great. But meanwhile, that does it for this edition of Inside the Fiction. Hope you enjoyed the show. With that said, great job by everybody, and look forward to our next edition of Inside the Fiction. Meanwhile, I want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day weekend. And Ben, you ready to do it again next week? We might even talk a little bit of UFL if I can find the right guy. We'll see what the other league is all about. At least they played on Mother's Day. Oh, like darn. A football league that plays on Mother's Day? Really? Seriously? Really? Okay. Really? Seriously? Really? Is the show done? Really? That does it. We're done. We'll see you next Tuesday night. Same time, same channel. Good night, everybody. Great job to my entire awesome crew. Appreciate every last one of you, the effort. We had a lot to talk about tonight, but we got it all in, didn't we? And I'll tell you what, it made a magnificent show. And I have the best. And I am proud of every one of these individuals that were on camera tonight. Good night, everybody.